So, welcome to the lesson on Dubai's history and culture. This lesson is designed just to give you a snapshot of, how Dubai has got to where it has and the main people behind it. It's really, really important, as I've mentioned numerous times, to be able to tell the story of Dubai and really paint the picture of where the city has come from. And obviously, a lot of that has been, or nearly all of it has been influenced by the phenomenal leadership of Dubai itself and the country. So ultimately, you've got a leadership team here that take action and deliver. Okay, by that I mean that in a lot of countries across the world, governments, as we know, they make bold promises and effectively. Mention that they're going to give the world to everyone and improve this and make everything amazing. And ultimately, most times, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't always happen like that. Whereas with Dubai, when you see a plan for a project or when you see news announced that this is in the pipeline, etc., most of the time it does happen. They do deliver on their promises. So that's been a really, really interesting concept. And I think that has been admired globally in terms of how the country has been led to where it is today. So we'll also have a look at the history and projects of significance within Dubai, because there really is some phenomenal, man-made developments, buildings, locations within Dubai, which not everyone knows about. So it's worth giving a quick snapshot. Although if you've been here a while, you will understand these key marvels within the city. What do things look like currently? So in terms of the culture and where we're at the minute, and what Dubai may look like in the future, what are some of the big plans that the government has, and why we should all be on the winning team of Dubai. So moving into the key content then. So we all know Dubai has grown particularly in recent years. Since COVID, we've seen a huge influx of capital come into the country and into the city. And looking at where it came from originally to where it is now is really, really worth thinking about. So as I've said before, if you're a broker and you get investors or buyers that are new to Dubai, you've got to set the scene, you've got to set the stage, you've got to be able to explain to them, where the city's gone, how it's got to where it is now, and really, encourage them to be a part of the city and communicate to them what the city has to offer, how much the leadership cares about not only the citizens of the state, but the residents as well. So the expats are treated, really, really fairly, and that's something that doesn't happen all over the world. So it is a unique factor, which, you should be communicating to your clients. And obviously, if you're looking to buy here or relocate here, then, it's in your interest to understand this. So Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum is obviously the ruler of Dubai and vice president and minister of the UAE at the time of writing. So this is basically the guy that's been, at the forefront of the growth of Dubai in recent years. And, it's really, really interesting to see his visions and what he's achieved ultimately. So he's obviously taken Dubai from where it was, a lot of people, they call it, how it was a desert, how it was just sand, there was nothing there. And then over the past 50 years, obviously he's grown it into what it is today. But the main point of including the ruler in this is for you to go away and to look into more detail about, his visionary, his plans, for the future. And he does have a book out as well, so you can do some deep diving there. Obviously we can't include it all in this lesson, but it's a very, very motivational man. Okay, when he speaks, he has visions for Dubai to be the best city on the planet for living. He really talks about his citizens and the people living here and the quality of life and how they look after people. So it's really sets an example for other leaders across the globe, and really that's something that's not worth missing. So I really, really would encourage you to look into it a bit more. So in terms of the property market in particular, the market is immature compared to other global markets across the world. It has matured in terms of regulations, processes, types of property coming to market, the types of investors, the volume of investors and buyers and residents staying longer. However, ultimately, you've only been able to buy freehold property here since 2002. So that really puts in perspective of how young the city is compared to other global places that you think of which are much, much older. So yeah, very, very exciting young market, which has got a lot of growth coming in the future. And, I certainly want to be a part of that. So in terms of the achievements to date and what's happened, what are some of the key milestones and projects which have really caught both the press's attention and the attention of buyers from across the globe? So firstly, we have the Burj Khalifa. For those that don't know, this is the tallest building in the world in downtown Dubai. You'd recognize it instantly if you saw it, but that was built out by Emaar, and obviously still today is exceptionally popular. It's actually a pretty good buy at the moment, considering the location of it, the view of it, and the price per square foot. When you actually look at it compared to other premium projects which are coming to market, actually buying in the Burj Khalifa is actually pretty good value. So keep that in mind as well. Burj Al Arab, often mentioned as the world's only 7-star hotel. That's the one that looks like the sails of a boat on the coast of Jumeirah in Dubai. But yeah, really, really luxurious. And you've had a lot of, TV adverts, etc., be filmed there over the years. But yeah, definitely worth a visit as well. Palm Jumeirah, probably the most famous. This is the man-made island shaped like a palm tree off the coast of Dubai. Lots of luxury, mansions and villas and private beaches and resorts. And yeah, that's where the new Atlantis the Royal is, which is described as the world's most ultra luxurious resort. But yeah, the Palm Jumeirah really, really is incredible. Palm Jebel Ali. So the plans for this have recently been announced. It's recently relaunched, and effectively what it is another version of the Palm Jumeirah, a bit further down the coast, but twice as big. And I believe they've got, plans for 80 odd, hotels there. So that's going to be a really, really big one for the future. They're launching all the big villas and all the big mansions at the moment, Nakheel. So, definitely one to look at. The World Islands, these are a series of islands shaped like countries or named after countries, more so, off the coast of Dubai. You've got Jumeirah Islands, which is, a credible residential community, a bit more, one of the older ones, but yeah, really worth looking at. And then you've got the new style of development or master communities that we're seeing, which I'll refer to as lagoon communities. So if you think of District 1, if you think of Azizi Venice, if you think of Emaar Oasis, which is coming, they're basically, new build communities, but they're built around water that looks like a swimming pool. So it's not really the older style we've seen like Jumeirah Islands where it's lakes. It's actually water, which is, bright blue, and it looks like you can swim in it. And obviously in many cases you can. So yeah, that's a new style of community, which is exceptionally unique. I haven't really seen many places, around the world, certainly in major cities, that can offer that. So, you buy something there, you've got waterfront living in the middle of the desert, not even near the coast. So it's really, really interesting factor, and I'd highly recommend investors look at that. Cool. So in terms of Dubai, obviously these projects have driven a lot of interest in the city. It is a city that never sleeps, world-class amenities, infrastructure, architecture, and it's attracting attention from all over the globe. Obviously because it's known as a very, very luxury city, and that's kind of what it's been built on. But it has a lot to do, it has a lot to offer, and we've seen this reflected in winning awards and recognition from the likes of TripAdvisor, where I believe it's been named the #1 tourist destination in the world for a couple of years in a row. So that obviously drives a lot of traffic here as well. But one of the interesting things which people don't always mention, it's not like one type of person or category of demographic of person that's coming to Dubai, right? And that's the same on the buyer side. So what you see nurses coming here, teachers coming here, crypto influencers, high-profile fitness influencers are a big one, right up to ultra-high net worths and, finance people, businesses, where perhaps maybe originally they might have gone to, Singapore or the City of London. They might now move to DIFC, where they can get that phenomenal cost of living improved through the tax structure. And also the quality of life. So that's really, really put Dubai on the map. But if there's one thing you can take away from this, and one thing we've seen, is that Dubai is an absolute master at PR and marketing. Okay? How it goes about attracting tourists, new regimes, new improvements to the residents' life, new projects which catch the attention of, other cities and other people based worldwide. It's really, really good at doing that. And that's certainly what's put Dubai on the map. Now, looking at the real estate market in particular, Fundamentally, it is a relatively volatile market, again, when you're comparing it to other cities. If you look at the likes of London, Hong Kong, Sydney, Paris, New York, they're a lot more slow and steady in their growth and their rental returns, whereas Dubai is a bit more up and down. But that's what makes it exciting, because if you buy at the right time and you continue to ride the wave of Dubai, you can make some phenomenal capital growth and appreciation gains, which we'll discuss more later. But one thing that is key to consider is how resilient Dubai is. And, that's resilience, I'm sure you're all aware, but it means the ability to bounce back and to come back from being down. So if you look at the financial crisis in 2008, or if you look at back to COVID, how Dubai came out of both of those events over the long term. Yes, it took some time, but particularly the pandemic, it was handled exceptionally well. You saw lots of people flock to Dubai from other cities, particularly Europe, because it was just such an opportunity and pretty much a safe haven at the time. So it's seen really, really good results coming out of the challenges that it's faced. And then when you add on there the steps that companies and the governments have taken to make it an attractive city. So, factors like the economical and political stability in the city, visa regulation changes, you've got the weather, the tax benefits, the infrastructure, entertainment, healthcare, education. So you can basically see why people are coming here and investing here. So I'm sure you're sold on Dubai, and, numerous times throughout these lessons I've mentioned that. But as I say, Dubai is so much more than a place that you come for, and stay on the Palm Jumeirah for a while and have a few nice dinners. Like, the infrastructure here and what it offers as a place to set up shop long term is pretty much unmatched globally. So do take that into account as well. And as I say, when you're selling properties to people, particularly that are moving here from overseas or investing from overseas, they're not only buying the property itself, they're on a logical basis, making sure the numbers stack up, etc., etc. They're buying emotionally, and they want to buy into the city of Dubai. And it's your job as a broker to be able to communicate that to them. So, in terms of plans for the future, it's all well and good saying, Dubai's had an amazing stint or, journey to get to where it is now. But why would we invest now? Like, Dubai, prices have gone up exceptionally fast in recent years. So why is Dubai still a good bet? Well, ultimately, it's because of the population and the demand. Okay. So the vision of Dubai, or the Dubai 2040 vision, is a set of initiatives and targets set out by the Dubai government to ultimately make it the best city for living in the world. So when you visit their website, the Dubai 2040 website, you will see that printed in or mentioned in big letters. So it's very, very clear what they want to do. And, it's a government initiative with key milestones and goals to make the city, one, sustainable, but two, more practical and enjoyable and prosperous for its residents. So a couple of the key targets include population increase by the year 2040 from 3.3 to 7.8 million, doubling the size of green and recreational areas, having 55% of the population to live within 800 meters of a main public transport station, and a 400% increase in the length of public beaches. So what I want to go back to here just very briefly is the population increase. So a common question I have, or we have, from investors, and that you will have as a broker, or that you may be considering as an investor, is oversupply. We all know that Dubai is building very fast. It's being, developments coming up left, right and centre. It's effectively, a big construction site in some areas, although we've seen, some areas be really established themselves now as enjoyable communities. But one thing you've got to consider, right, is the government wants to drive the population growth, and it goes back to the economic fundamentals of what causes property values to rise, okay? And that's demand versus supply. If your demand for property outweighs supply in the short, medium and long term, then it means the value of that asset will increase, okay? It's just economical fundamentals of, any investment class. So that's really, really important to keep in mind. So if you think the government by 2040 want to increase the population growth to 7.8 million, then do you think that property developers will be able to build that much property in time to match that demand? The answer is no. There won't be that many new properties built to match that demand in population growth that we're seeing. It's almost, very, very certain will happen. If it's not in 2040, around that stage. So And we've seen this in recent years, guys. I can't remember the exact statistics off the top of my head, but I believe some years you see 750,000 residents move to Dubai. And not only is it people moving here, what the other way that the government enable this is they make it such an attractive tourist destination. And the way they do that is by giving approval to developers to build, they guide them on how to structure the developments. This much green space, this type of retail that we want here, these entertainment facilities, etc., etc. So it's not just a case of they're just letting everyone build what they want. When they're building these master communities, they're building them with, the end user in mind, okay? Both on a tourist level and a resident level. But when you're looking at tourism in particular, Dubai sees some of the highest hotel occupancy rates in the world, 80-85% on occasion. So what happens is you get an influx of people come here, visit here. They then start coming back again and again and again. They tell their friends, they visit, they start coming back again and again. And then a segment of that people, that community that are returning, they end up buying property here. Okay, and ultimately over the long term, that's what leads to the population growth of Dubai, because they move here, they see how wonderful it is, they save a lot of money, and ultimately that continues to drive the population growth. And then what you see is because, or what we've seen in recent years, because employers want to benefit from the talent that's here and from various cost savings. If you look at corporation tax in Dubai, it's at only 9% versus in the UK, that's 25%, for example, and that varies globally across the world. So it's an attractive proposition for retailers and leisure and hospitality operators. It's an attractive proposition for business and to set up shop here and make it your corporate head office. And it's an attractive proposition for tourists and residents as well. So all of these factors coming together is what is driving the population growth, and ultimately why there will never be an oversupply as a whole across Dubai. Okay, that point, guys, is crucial in your conversations with investors, because they just don't understand it, and they don't understand the economic and the numbers behind the economic factors and the numbers behind it. So you've really got to be able to be sharp on that and understand and take people through the journey of why Dubai is not going to be oversupplied in the long term. Don't get me wrong, there's certain areas of Dubai where you wouldn't want to invest, where there's too much low quality housing. But if you're buying in the right place at the right time and the right development, you're always going to have a phenomenal investment within Dubai. Cool. So just touching on a couple of prime examples then of what is getting a lot of attention at the moment in the marketplace. Oh, by the way, I've mentioned at the top of this sheet here that you can follow the Dubai 2040 vision on Instagram, and obviously have a look at their website as well, because going back to what I mentioned at the start, when the Dubai government says that they have big ambitions and that they're going to do things, it usually happens, okay? So keep that in mind as well. Most recently, a big announcement was the Dubai Airport, the DWC, so Dubai World Central Al Maktoum International Airport, a $34.85 billion investment. Okay, so for those that are not familiar with Dubai, at the moment you have the DXB International Airport, which, if you look at the map and you've got the Palm Jumeirah on the left and downtown to the north, the airport at the moment is just to the north of that. Okay, so what they want to do is shift that and shift all the operations of the airport over to this new airport, which is being built on the south side of Dubai in an area called Dubai South. So the plans have recently been announced. The airport has been actually operational to some extent, but they really want to build that out and make it the largest airport in the world. Okay, so if you think of what that's going to entail in terms of new property nearby, new hotels nearby, the jobs that are going to be created, the transport links and the general buzz, like that's a really big indication of bullish sentiment of that part of Dubai. And what that means, sorry to use investment lingo, that means that you're going to see really good performance from your property if you buy at that area of Dubai, because it's undeveloped now, it's a bit further out, it's going to take a few years to see really strong results, but that will definitely see really strong capital appreciation rate. So keep that in mind, the new DWC airport that's being built. Palm Jebel Ali, touched on this earlier, but this actually launched a few years ago. They've done it a couple of times now, but basically they want to create a hyper luxury waterfront property destination, similar to the Palm Jumeirah, but on a bigger, more lavish scale. So that's going to be really, really interesting. 80 hotels and 68 miles of beach and coastline, as well as the best, amenities around. So again, for those that purchased or know of people that purchased back the Palm Jumeirah back when that first launched or around the early years of there, obviously that's seen huge growth. You're likely going to see the same with the Palm Jebel Ali. So as you can see, that area of Dubai, and by the way, the Palm Jebel Ali is very near, it's effectively Dubai South as well. Obviously, it's named differently, but it's in that area of Dubai if you're looking at a macro level. So as you can see, that location, it's where all the investment is going, right? You've had Amar build out a community there. You've had Azizi, Venice, which is going to be a mega community as well. And you're just going to see constant development at that side of the city, okay? A lot of the money, a lot of the investment is shifting from the likes of downtown and DIFC over to that area of Dubai. So to keep your eye on it. And just lastly, in terms of the Palm Jebel Ali, the reason why you see such aggressive growth on these smaller islands where they're building out the infrastructure and they're actually successful is because of the limited supply. Okay, it's exceptionally difficult for a developer to just go on an island, whether that's the Palm Jumeirah or Palm Jebel Ali, and just start building because the land is so scarce. Okay, it's obviously limited in size. They got a lot of competition for sites and for land and development projects there, so it's not an easy market for property developers to enter. And if the ones that do get to enter, they're normally pretty established developers. So it's very easy. You can't just start a development company and then just buy the best plot on the Palm Jumeirah. It's not that easy. So with that in mind, the supply is limited. And what I mean by that is there's less properties on the market eventually. And as a result of that, because there's limited supply and there's a lot of demand for waterfront properties, it puts upwards pressure on the prices. So the values, in other words, it becomes really expensive. So that's something to think about as well. With any waterfront destination, waterfront property is a scarce asset. And so, you want to keep that in mind as well. Just to wrap it up then. So as we know, Dubai is a world leader, and you've got to think about where Dubai has come from, what's happening at the moment, but more importantly, for everyone that's watching this, what's the future of Dubai? Who do you want to bet on? Do you want to put your money on the Dubai leadership, who have this phenomenal track record of aggressive growth of recent years? Or do you want to buy a property in Berlin or Paris or, Canada or London, where there's steady growth, unfavorable economic conditions, volatile political environments, heavy tax, both on the income tax or corporation tax of the property and on the capital gains tax when you exit, and for stamp duty rates? Or do you want to buy in Dubai, where you can buy a property, you can visit a couple of times a year, you can rent it out on the short-term let market and earn 7, 8, 9% net income, and you don't have to worry about taxes, and ultimately you're buying in a place where there's political certainty, and that has an amazing vision for the future? What team do you want to be on is the question that I would ask here. But hopefully that explains a bit of detail about the bigger picture of Dubai, a couple of key projects, and why I'm so excited about the city for the future, as you should be too.